Welcome to the end of day review for Thursday, the 1st of February 2024. Starting off with the economic calendar, as you can see, there was a whole bunch of red folder news events, the most significant of which was GBP related interest rate news. And given this, and then Governor Bailey speaking, I decided that it was probably best to just stay out of the London session and just wait till things settle. In addition to this, given the FOMC news yesterday and press conference, there was a large leg created, and in order to trade in the direction that I wanted to for the London session, there was just no possible opportunities, and I decided that, given the distance that price needed to travel to reach an area where I'm happy to trade from, they just it just didn't feel like there would be enough time for things to play out in my favor so that I could close the trade at least with a small profit. So I stayed out of any short trades from this morning, and then in New York session I was looking for long entries. However, as you can see, we had at 3:30 we had unemployment claims that was negative, which supported any long ideas, and that was perfect for me. At which point I set an order on my trading. But then when we came to PMI, as you can see, it's positive for the USD, suggesting short GU, and that was now against my trading idea. Because of this ambiguous suggestion by the news releases, I decided it's best not to trade, given the fact that there's conflicting news, and we needed we needed the London low of the day to be validated by at least one direction. So there was a bit of decision making to be done, and we'll go through it right now. So starting on the 4 hour, in terms of market structure, nothing has changed from the previous end of days. We're still in this uncertain scenario. However, what you can recall from yesterday's end of day is we did validate this primary leg, and that resulted in us having one new 4H OB to short from, and the existing 4H primary program previously confirmed OB to long from. However, what you can then see on the 5 minute is when we reacted to the demand for HOB, which is this, we created this secondary leg, and then when we reacted to this primary protein unconfirmed, we generated a new secondary leg. Since this is the latest secondary leg, we then invalidate the secondary leg, which then meant that as we came into the day, there's only reasons to short. However, since yesterday was the day that created the new leg, that was day 0, and then today being day 1, and the fact that in the current day at the time of the Asia session ending, we didn't yet extend the OB, so we didn't yet extend the secondary leg, because this would have been the lowest point, which would have been associated with yesterday. So given that, I anchored my fib to the previous high of the day, and this extreme, this extreme, which is the low of the day. But as you can see, price never broke the Asia high and came into this area where we could consider short. So that was that. The other factor was the fact that we're trading against this 4HOB, but like I said, as long as we build IRL, that triangle, then we have reason to short against this 4HOB, at least until the secondary leg or the reaction leg of this 4HOB, the deepest reaction leg, is taken out, which would be this level, and that serves as our target. However, what you can see is when the Asia Frankfurt session set in, we took out all the IRL, effectively rendering us unable to take any short entries, at which point it was just a waiting game to see what would happen for the interest rate decisions. And like I said, I pretty much just stayed out of the markets until the New York session. In the New York session, I had this lull low of the day, because the low of the day is in the lull. Well, in this case, it didn't really matter, but we needed New York to validate the London low of the day. Unfortunately, or rather fortunately, it depends how you look at it. So there was negative USD news which supported the long idea. So at that point I set this entry, which then I had to wait for the 5 p.m. and monitor, is this going to be supportive of longs. As you can see, subsequent New York news was not supportive, And the other issue with that is, how do we validate the London low of the day? Our options for validating that the London low of the day will most likely hold is by using subsequent New York news, or the New York session must take out the London high of the day. At the time of 3:30, when the news came out in support of longing, that was a factor that enabled me to put this trade on and have confidence that this low of the day will hold. However, at the time of 5 p.m., when we had conflicting news, at this point we have two options again. We can either rely on the news, or we can we'll look for New York to take out the London high of the day to then have confidence that this will hold. Because it's mixed news, we could argue that there's a neutral standpoint, so we could long or short rather than only one direction, provided that we had backing. And that makes sense because this low of the day is a London low of the day and it's not a New York low of the day. However, what we can see is we've got conflicting news, which in a scenario where we need the news to validate the low of the day, had the New York session actually taken out the London range first and validated this individually, then I'd be more comfortable with leaving this trade open, because it would make a lot more sense, right? Because um, we got mixed news, so we don't really have a news bias, and then obviously we validated this low by New York taking out the London range, so we know this will hold, and thus we could leave this trade open and it would probably play out as it did. I had a 1 to 3 target on just initially, and you can see we way surpassed it, probably on our way to a 1 to 5. The other thing I noticed whilst doing this end of day review is that my entry points are somewhat ambiguous when there's large ranges or windows of imbalance, and I just want to try and find a way to consistently get into the market with a refined rule set where, the judgment of, okay, do I use the entire range, do I use something in the worm, or do I wait for the precise POI at the bottom? I want to eliminate that judgment, and that's just in the process of making things as mechanical as possible. So one consideration I've been thinking about is, okay, if the secondary leg is visible on the 15 or 30 minute and there's the only one leg to consider, then maybe setting the POI should be based on a higher time frame so that you can get a consistent entry by saying, okay, only the precise window of imbalance area will be used, like this, and then you can anchor your fib there and you can see it perfectly tapped in, and you use this as a low of the day. Alternatively, you could maybe go even a time frame higher, and you can see again we've got this jock that's validating the new secondary leg, so that's fine. And you can see more clearly here that we've got a window of imbalance right here and right here. So again, on the 30 minute, you could argue that you could enter like that and it would make sense, but like I'm saying, if you're using purely the 5 minute and not considering this, then it looks somewhat strange, right? Because I mean, this is a huge area and now are you just forcing an entry? Why not wait for this precise area? Just something I wanted to think about some more. But other than that, this was a pretty good day. There were lots of opportunities, as there usually are with uncertain scenarios like this, but actually navigating the PA is highly challenging, which is why a lot of people lose accounts and whatnot in these scenarios. Anyway, that's the end of day review. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll chat again for the London Outlook tomorrow.